Ooh. So welcome, Amy Turk, to Virtual Harp Summit.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Yay. Where are you calling in from?
So I'm in my home in the UK right now, in my harp studio.
Yay, yay. And I think you live in the south of England, is that right?
I do, yes, I live south of London.
Great, yeah. So you did such a great workshop on arranging pop music for harp. You actually do a lot of classical music as well.
I do.
Yeah, and so I recommend people actually go ahead and if they aren't familiar with your work yet, go ahead and subscribe right there at your YouTube channel. So I think Jillian might also have an opportunity to post that in our comments so people can go over there and they're going to find just such a wide array of cool stuff. How did you get into arranging pop music?
It's a funny one, really. Arranging is something I just really fell into because it's something I enjoyed doing a lot. I just ended up wanting to do it kind of naturally. It wasn't as though there was a project or something like that that kind of forced me into it. It was very natural kind of a process. I've always had quite kind of varied musical tastes. You know, I studied classical music, but you know, I grew up listening to lots of different kinds of music, just whatever was on in the car, whatever my brother was listening to. You know, we were a very musical family and always kind of sharing different things that we discovered. So I liked Tchaikovsky as much as I liked Led Zeppelin from quite an early age. So I guess I wasn't kind of biased in terms of what music I liked listening to. It was just very much, I was just a sponge for whatever was there. So because the harp was like the center of my world, but I also liked so many different kinds of music, it seemed really natural to arrange stuff for the harp because there were things that I really loved listening to that weren't available to, you know, to buy automatically as sheet music. So I just kind of started making my own. I remember actually the first thing I ever arranged, it was some incidental music from an anime show that I was into when I was 12 or 13, and I sat in my parents' living room and just stuck the CD on and worked it out by ear. I was sat at the piano and I was working out, and I wrote it out as a handwritten score. I think it was for 3 harps, and that was my first kind of venture into arranging, I guess. And it just sort of went from there. And the more I did it, the more I loved doing it.
Yeah. In your workshop, I really love the way you are so clear on what people can start with in terms of arranging pop music, and you really emphasize rhythm as a very big deal. Start from that point.
Oh, sorry, I'm being interrupted by my cat, if you can hear that.
I love it. We always get little pet visits. I love it.
He gets so jealous if I start playing, so that if I'm talking, he might interrupt us. Yeah, rhythm. I mean, obviously, pop music is driven by rhythm because it's, you know, most of it's stuff that you're supposed to dance to, and that's part of what makes it so catchy and what draws you in and everything. And so, yeah, having that attention to detail when you arrange something, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's essential, because if you don't take that from whatever song you're starting with and bring it to the harp, then it's not going to sound like the song. So yeah, rhythm is pretty much always the starting point for an arrangement for me. And then from there, it's kind of, then you start making decisions about whether or not you want to add percussion to it, or whether you want to work the rhythm into whatever kind of harmonically or melodically is there.
And by percussion, what do you mean?
Okay, so we talked about this a little bit in the workshop, but the system basically is you either slap, or I don't know how to call it. It's not really punching, but it's, you take the heel of your palm like this and you push it into the soundboard. That's the easiest way to do it with the left hand. So it's either that, which makes your kind of bass drum sound, or you just slapping the soundboard. And you can do it up here, or you can do it low down. Obviously the camera's not going to follow me that far, but because the soundboard is so big, you've got, you know, quite a wide variety of places that you can slap, and you can hit it harder or quieter and get different kind of tones and different depth out of it that way. So yeah, so that's kind of the starting point for everything.
Yeah. That's something people really look forward to. Yeah. So we've got some people already coming in. We have Sally coming in from Wisconsin, and And we have Gloria coming in from California, San Pedro,
Wow.
California.
Hello, nice.
Yeah. And so, guys, we are live at this very moment. We won't be for very long. So if you have any questions for Amy, now would be the time. So,
Yes.
yeah, Virtual Harp Summit runs free from September 14th to the 21st, but you do need to get a ticket. So you need to register for your free ticket there at virtualharpsummit.com. And so we actually start in just 2 days. And each workshop runs free for 48 hours. And then the house concerts, the Meet My Harp, all these things, they run 24/7. And actually, Amy shared a beautiful handout that you will be able to download. So very, very cool. And again, let me show your YouTube channel. And I see that Jillian has already shared it. Thank you, Jillian.
Hey, thank you.
Because I believe one of your major projects right now is publishing your arrangements.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
It's long overdue. I've started publishing some of my pop music covers are available. That's not through me, it's through Sheet Music Plus. I've got a few arrangements that are of songs I did on YouTube that you can already buy, and they're direct downloads, so it's nice and easy. But I know that what people really want is the Toccata and Fugue. I'm planning to do both a print version and a downloadable version of the sheet music, and that's going to be available on my website.
Cool. Let's talk about the Toccata and Fugue for a second.
Yeah.
So that is a mega piece written for the organ.
It certainly is.
Yeah, and it's basically gone viral, I would say. You know, I think you have over 3.3 million hits in terms of views. Yeah. It's a wonderful performance. It's not a compromised performance at all. It really has so much power. So guys, definitely go over and check that out on your YouTube channel. So that must have been a major project to arrange that.
Yeah, no, it was an absolutely huge undertaking. And as you say, you know, bringing the power of that piece to the harp, that was so important to me. That was the most important thing, if you like, because, you know, as we know as harpists, the harp has the ability to be very powerful and sort of convincing in that sort of way. And most people maybe don't think that that's possible, but of course, that was the kind of the central thing about that piece, was just to show that, you know, maybe, yeah, it's not an organ, maybe it doesn't have that same capability just in terms of sheer volume, but in terms of the kind of the power and the intention of that, that's certainly possible. And so yeah, I worked very hard for about 18 months on that arrangement. I started off working on the organ score, and I talked to some organists. This was while I was studying at the Royal Academy of Music in London, so I spoke to some organ students who were studying there at the time, to really just make sure that I was getting inside the piece and getting all the timbral possibilities out of it that people were putting into it on the organ, and kind of trying to translate that somehow. Yeah, and also it's just a great opportunity to play really loud, which is something that I love doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Your attention to the interpretation of the piece, it sounds very much what you speak about in your workshop with pop music, that, you know, you actually need to listen to the song and really know what the song sounds like, and really get into the song, start with the song, and then bring it to the harp. Don't necessarily just put the harp on the song. Yeah, it's a funny concept to kind of, but I think that is the best way of putting it, that yes, it's you're taking everything that piece is, and you're kind of channeling that through the harp, rather than saying, well, this is a harp, and how do I make the harp work for this piece? You know, because I think it's just an easy way to kind of feel that you're limited, and I don't believe that the harp limits me. I don't believe the harp should limit anybody. So yeah. I love it. I love it. So Jillian has a question. What pop song have you found so far to be the hardest to arrange for the harp?
Oh, that's a really tricky question. I think there's lots of different ways that arranging a pop song can really challenge you. I mean, the more percussion you have, the more tricky that is sometimes, because you're really struggling just to have the time to move your hands from the strings to the body. So something like the arrangement that I did of Safe Home by Anthrax, I mean, that's not pop, obviously that's kind of metal, but that was really tricky because I was trying to recreate the drum part and get as much of that into the arrangement as was possible and was appropriate. And that involved a lot of darting from the strings to the body and back again. So you're kind of waving your arms around all over the place. And that's really, it's a challenge in terms of stamina as well as a challenge in terms of arranging, because you have to draw a line with the arranging about what you know is physically possible, but at the same time kind of try to push it a little bit so that you really get as much of the original elements of the arrangement into it as possible. So I guess something like Anthrax, maybe with the artist, but there's some other things that I haven't yet done videos on YouTube in a similar vein. I did an arrangement of Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard. That was quite tricky. But the funny thing about that was it wasn't because of the percussion. That was more because of the key and the fact that it changes key as it goes into the chorus. I ended up just doing the most ridiculous pedal tap dance to get that to work around trying to play a beat at the same time. So, I mean, yeah, I think there's every single way possible that a pop song can challenge you. But those are some of it's coordination, I think, trying to pare down all of that band stuff into your one instrument and your two hands. I think that's the thing that really challenges me.
So cool. This is kind of a follow-up question from Gloria. What do you suggest to improve our rhythm skills? Sometimes I struggle with this, especially on faster tunes. Thanks, and I love your creative arrangements.
Thank you very much. I guess I hope this answer doesn't sound too simplistic, but with anything rhythm related, it's just metronome. The metronome is my god, and it sounds really, really tedious, but you know, you stick the metronome on and you stick it in a tempo that you know you can really do, and you listen to yourself and you make sure that the rhythms are really mathematically tight, but that also the technique that you're using, you know, whichever fingers you're using for whatever you're trying to do, are really the most comfortable way around it, and you work from there, you know. And there's no shame in playing things really, really slow. I mean, you need to be fast enough that you're not falling asleep and slow enough that you feel you can really process mentally everything that you're trying to achieve before you move on to the next step and you get it that bit faster. And yeah, sometimes that's a really long, drawn-out process, but ultimately always worth it. Metronome all the way, metronome till I die.
Metronome to the end.
Yeah.
And now, you know, with these metronome apps, there are some really great ones that are actually drum sets.
Yeah.
So they have more of a musical feel than just the tick.
Yeah, for sure. You can change the sound you want. You can fiddle around with subdivisions and what time signature, and if you want to go into that kind of stuff. I mean, even with a really basic free metronome app, it's really easy to have a tap tempo, so you can have a think about what tempo you have in mind or what you feel you're able to play something at that particular point in your practice process, and then just kind of work from there on it. So they're really easy to use and they're so accessible. They're all, well, most of them are free. It's just really easy to get on that, and it's just, you know, if it's on your phone, there's no excuse because it's right there. Because, you know, it's put the metronome on and just go on Facebook, which I think we're probably all guilty of at some point.
I love your Taskmaster vibe. It's great. In the midst of all the creativity, right? Because we do need structure in order to be creative.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, even with something that's quite free, like having the metronome just to kind of start you off somewhere and have a vague idea of how many beats you want to have, even if even with a pause or something, if you're playing something that's got a ton of pauses between chords or something like that, just to stick the metronome on and have it quite slow and add an extra beat as a starting point. And then once you've gotten to grips with the tempo, then you can start pulling it around. You've got to have that starting point and kind of be able to internalize whatever tempo you want to be at, because you have to be the metronome. That's the whole point of using it in the first place, right? It's to become the metronome. Yeah. So, you know, it's a kind of a lifelong working relationship that gets better and better. Yeah. Have I conveyed how much I believe in metronomes?
I just love it. I love also how you're saying about the internalizing, because ultimately the beat has to be in your body.
Yes.
And I think dance is one of the best ways as well to really get to understand rhythm on a primal level and the power of it. So yeah, the metronome and then going straight in your body, and then it comes back out again. This nice circle.
Yeah, and it's a really great test as well. If you can record a little loop of yourself playing something at a consistent tempo, and then turn it off, or get somebody to turn it off for you, keep playing, and then get it to be turned back on to see if you're at the same tempo. Or I mean, you can just do that with the metronome if you want as well. So there's kind of fun games you can play, I guess, to test how good your holding of tempo is. So that's kind of a fun little, if you want to check your progress, that's something to do.
I love it. And so Jillian I'll be waiting for the Pour Some Sugar on Me cover.
Oh, yeah. It's on the list. The list keeps getting longer. That's the problem. But it will come for sure.
So Jody is changing gears just a little bit. How did you learn about all the copyright laws and issues involved with writing and publishing pop music to make sure you're covered legally?
Yeah, this is a very tricky one, and copyright law is complicated and in some ways is kind of up to date in terms of what people are doing nowadays, and in some ways it really isn't, and that's quite tricky because it means you have to, every new website you upload something to, you have to be careful that you're really that you've covered all the bases and that that it's legally all okay. So the way that I deal with that for the pop sheet music that I sell is by selling it through Sheet Music Plus, which is it's one of a few websites that sell downloadable sheet music, which you pay for, and then you get a direct download to print. It's a really great service, and it's really great for arrangers because they've got a list which they're continuously adding new songs to that allow you to publish pop songs as long as it's on their list, and it's like 1,000+ songs at the moment. It allows you to publish any of the songs on that list through them, and you do a split with them basically of the profits, but they handle all the legal stuff. So I mean, obviously you can contact copyright holders directly if you want to do it that way, but that puts a lot more of the work, that kind of behind the scenes contacting people and asking for permission and agreeing what split of the proceeds and how all that works. You either do that all yourself or you do something like working with SMP. So they've really taken all of the effort and the kind of heartache out of it by doing something like that. And obviously that's not just for harp. They've opened that up to anyone basically. So it's a fantastic service, but it makes it very quick, as long as the song that you want to arrange is on their list. But fortunately, there's quite a lot of things that I've arranged that are on there, so that list will be growing as well.
Cool. And I think the other sort of clearinghouse is it called Harry Fox or something? The Harry Fox Agency. You can contact them, and they somehow facilitate your licensing or something.
There are a few organisations, aren't there, that will help you. If you contact them, they'll sort of put you in touch with the right people. So there's that route as well, definitely. And I mean, it depends, doesn't it, what kind of thing you want to publish, because for me, obviously, it's fine to publish kind of one thing at a time as I'm uploading things to YouTube and everything else. But obviously, there are people that maybe want to do a whole book. Say you want to do a whole book of Disney songs for the harp, that's a different kind of a matter, and if you want to print that, then doing something like SMP isn't going to help. So yeah, being able to contact an organization like that and say, who do I speak to about getting permission to do this, obviously that's really important too.
Yeah, and I think we are moving more towards downloads actually, because you still can print it out and get a physical copy, do all our fun writing as we do. So I am super excited for people to come to your workshop and really get all the details. You really gave a beautiful workshop full of super actionable stuff. You were on your harp the whole time. And really, really great. Your topic for this was how to arrange pop music for harp. Another time I would love to talk about how to arrange classical music for harp, although I am sure there are actually some similarities, because you talked about the primacy of rhythm, which is still the case in classical music, whether it's metronomic or if it's free rhythm, it's still the rhythm drives everything. And then you were talking a lot about the idea of the melody and shaping melody. So there actually is a lot of crossover.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, we did touch on this in the workshop as well, just the fact that because I trained classically and I did a lot of studying of classical music on the harp, kind of all the way through my education, and that was kind of that happened in tandem, I guess, through my teens and my kind of early 20s and stuff, with my own exploration of pop music. Really, it's just the same sensibilities, I guess, that were ingrained into me through studying the harp classically. Just that attention to detail, being careful that you understand the composer's intentions, you know, all that stuff that you get told to pay attention to and say, is this what Bach would have really wanted? You know, that's just as important to me, whether you're playing Bach or you're playing Def Leppard. You know, you have to take the sensibilities of why that music is the way it is and why it sounds the way it does. And the historical context behind it even, you know, that really helps too, just to know as much as you can about what you're doing so you can recreate it as faithfully as possible. I just think that sensibility applies universally to music, not just classical music, but, you know, anything you might want to bring to your instrument.
Very, very wise words. So again, your YouTube channel is here, and Gillian has very kindly linked it in the comments below, along with your website and your Facebook page. I think your website is getting a big overhaul at this moment.
Yes, in the next couple of months it's going to look very different, and you will be able to buy sheet music by download for Dance the Sugar Plum Fairy, my Bach Air, the one that's known as Air on the G string. And also, of course, the Toccata and Fugue, and that will be available both in physical print form and as a direct download that you can download immediately and print at home.
Fabulous, fabulous. So be sure, guys, to attend Amy's workshop. We run live September 14th to the 21st. I can't quite remember exactly what day your workshop is on, so people definitely go to this website, check out the schedule.
But you've got so much other great stuff going on, haven't you, that you should all just check out everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. I do think it's our best one yet, and I just feel so lucky to be able to reach out to super interesting harpists like you, who are really like busy in the mix doing all your work, but you don't necessarily have time to go to the usual harp festivals and things like that. And so we get to connect right here, you know, home to home.
Absolutely.
And you're sharing the goods, you know, straight up. So. Yeah, because I feel like, you know, when we all share like this, it raises everybody's possibilities. You know, suddenly things that were a mystery are no longer a mystery, and therefore we get to go to the next level and the next level.
Sure. Well, that's the power of the internet, isn't it? Just bringing us all together and being able to ask questions, and yeah, it's fantastic. This is the future.
Yeah. And, you know, it also can suit a lot of our personalities more. I mean, a lot of artists are quite introverted. I think people may be surprised to hear that I am actually quite introverted, not in terms of being shy. I'm not shy at all. I used to be when I was a little kid. But I tend to generate the most energy when I'm on my own. And that's what I think of it as an introvert. And so if you're constantly on the road and everything, you actually can be depleted of your energy. So by being able to work more online, I think it can actually, you know, keep our creative fire alive.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I mean, I think being introverted, that does really lend itself to the kind of lifestyle that you need to be a solo musician, doesn't it? Because you need all that time, don't you, where you're not out at the pub with your friends because you have to practice. Right. So if you weren't kind of comfortable in your own company, I think that would be quite a painful lifestyle, wouldn't it? Or sometimes that might not be kind of the path that you really want to take. So sure, being happy in your own company and being happy practicing 3 or 4 hours a day, that's yeah, I think that takes a certain kind of person.
Cool. Yeah. So hop on, everybody, register, and we will see you very soon. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
And see you again.
Yeah, see you again. And everybody needs to sign on to Virtual Harp Summit so that you can not only see what I have to say, but all kinds of other fantastic people. I'm particularly looking forward to Siobhan Armstrong, completely different kind of a thing to me, but I recently bought a wire-strung harp, so I'm going to be listening to what she has to say so I can learn what the hell to do with my little wire-strung harp. At the moment, I'm a complete novice, but I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh, you'll love her workshop. She's so fun.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yay. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.